In 1959, a group of young Soviet hikers disappeared in one of the coldest and most isolated mountain ranges on Earth. Weeks later, rescuers discovered something so disturbing that even Soviet investigators struggled to explain it. Their tent had been ripped open from the inside. Their footprints led barefoot into the frozen darkness, and the bodies they recovered looked like victims of something impossible. To this day, the mystery of Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the darkest unsolved cases in history. And the deeper you go into this story, the more terrifying it becomes. The expedition began in January 1959 in the Soviet Union. The group consisted of 10 experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. These were not careless tourists. They were trained survivalists. Most were highly skilled in skiing, mountain travel, and surviving brutal winter conditions. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, intelligent, respected, and experienced. Their destination was a remote area of the northern Ural Mountains, an unforgiving wilderness covered in endless snow, violent winds, and temperatures cold enough to kill a person within hours. Local indigenous Mansi people had an ominous name for one nearby mountain, Kolat Sheko. It roughly translates to Mountain of the Dead. At first, nobody thought much about the name. The hikers traveled deep into the mountains on skis, documenting their journey with photographs and diaries. The photos recovered later are unsettling today. Smiling faces, jokes in the snow, friends laughing around campfires. None of them knew they were recording the final days of their lives. One member became sick early in the journey and turned back. That decision likely saved his life. The remaining 9 continued forward into worsening weather. Heavy snowstorms reduced visibility. Temperatures dropped far below freezing. Still, the hikers pushed on. On February 1st, 1959, they made camp on the slopes of Kolat Sheko. That was the last confirmed night they were alive. Nobody knows exactly what happened after dark, but investigators later reconstructed a terrifying sequence of events. At some point during the night, something caused all 9 hikers to panic. Not ordinary fear, extreme fear. The kind of fear that destroys rational thinking. Because what happened next made no sense. The hikers cut their way out of the tent from inside, not through the entrance, through the fabric itself. Then they fled directly into the freezing wilderness. Some were barefoot, others wore only socks or underwear. They left behind boots, heavy coats, food flashlights. Survival gear experienced hikers would never willingly do this in sub-zero temperatures, unless staying inside the tent was somehow worse. When the group failed to return on schedule, search parties were organized. For days, rescuers fought brutal snowstorms while searching the mountains. Then finally, they found the tent, half buried in snow, collapsed and abandoned. Inside were the hikers' belongings, exactly where they had left them. Meals half prepared, boots untouched. The scene looked as if everyone had suddenly fled in terror. Investigators followed footprints leading away from the campsite. What disturbed them most was this. The footprints showed no signs of chaos. The hikers had not been running wildly. They appeared to walk calmly into the darkness, as if they were trying not to panic, as if something behind them was even more terrifying. The first 2 bodies were found beneath a large cedar tree near the forest edge. They had attempted to start a fire. Branches above the tree were broken high up, suggesting one of them climbed desperately to look for something or someone. Both men died frozen to death, wearing almost no clothing. Then rescuers discovered 3 more bodies between the tree and the tent, including Igor Dyatlov himself. It appeared they had tried to return to camp. They never made it. But the final 4 bodies would turn the case from tragic into horrifying. Months later, Buried beneath deep snow in a ravine, rescuers found the remaining hikers, and their injuries shocked even experienced investigators. One had a fractured skull. 2 others suffered massive chest trauma so severe that experts later compared the force to a car crash. But strangely, their skin showed very little external damage. It was as if immense pressure had crushed them internally. Then came the detail that made the case infamous. Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue. Parts of her lips and eyes were also gone. For many people, this transformed the incident into something almost supernatural. Soviet authorities launched an official investigation, but from the beginning, the case was strange. Witnesses in nearby areas reported mysterious glowing orange lights in the sky around the same time. Some military records were classified. Certain documents reportedly disappeared, and some recovered clothing showed traces of radiation. Rumors spread rapidly. People began asking terrifying questions. Did the hikers witness a secret Soviet weapons test? Were they killed accidentally by military activity? Did the government cover something up? Or was there something else in those mountains? Something unknown? Eventually, Soviet investigators closed the case with one chilling conclusion. The hikers died because of an unknown compelling force. That single sentence helped create one of history's greatest mysteries. Over the decades, countless theories emerged. The avalanche theory. Some experts believe a small avalanche or snow slab collapse forced the hikers to escape quickly. But critics argue the slope was not steep enough. Footprints remain visible. The tent was still partially standing military experiment theory. Others suspect Soviet military testing. Possible explanations include explosives, parachute mines, secret radiation experiments. This theory grew because of radiation traces and reports of glowing lights. Infrasound theory. One scientific theory suggests unusual wind patterns created low-frequency sound waves that cause panic and psychological terror. Imagine feeling overwhelming dread for no visible reason. Would you flee too? Paranormal theories. And of course, there are darker theories. Creatures in the mountains, unknown beings, UFO encounters, supernatural forces. Most historians reject these explanations, but the mystery itself keeps them alive. Many mysteries fade over time. This one didn't, because no matter which theory people choose, something still feels wrong. The hikers were intelligent, experienced, disciplined, yet something terrified them enough to abandon safety and walk into certain death. That psychological detail is what makes the story unforgettable. Not just how they died, but what they were escaping from. Even today, investigators, filmmakers, historians, and internet communities continue debating what truly happened on that mountain in 1959. And perhaps the most disturbing possibility is this: we may never know. So what do you think happened on Dyatlov Pass? Avalanche? Secret military testing? Psychological panic? Or something the Soviet government never revealed? Comment your theory below, because after more than 60 years, the Mountain of the Dead still keeps its secrets.